You've spent decades saving for retirement, but now that it's here, something feels off. You followed the plan, you hit your numbers, you ran the scenarios, but now what? Here's the part no one warns you about. Less than half of retirees say they're truly satisfied. And this video unpacks why and shows you how to design a retirement you'll actually enjoy so you don't look back years from now wondering how you missed what matters most. Most people believe that if they save enough, retirement will automatically be enjoyable. But what if that assumption is wrong? Let's take two retirees with nearly identical financial situations. Okay, one gets to take the grandkids on trips to their favorite national parks. The other is in and out of doctor's offices. What's the difference? Health. That dream trip becomes less appealing when you're battling fatigue or joint pain. Well, your hobbies, they're harder for your body because it can't keep up. And the kicker is health issues often raise your expenses, the very opposite of what you were saving for. So this video is based on a study from the Employee Benefit Research Institute, which found that 78% of retirees in excellent health report being highly satisfied compared to the baseline of 48%. Same finances, totally different experience of retirement because once your health fades, no amount of money can buy it back. Your health is a multiplier. It either unlocks your plans or it limits them, and it's shaped not in your 70s, but in your 50s and 60s and even earlier, through the small, boring choices, things like sleep, exercise, and diet. So while your investments keep growing, know this, your health habits are quietly deciding how much of your retirement you'll actually enjoy. Now, if physical health drives how you spend your time, your relationships will determine, obviously, who you spend it with. It's so critical. But why do so many people underestimate their social life during retirement? Well, here's the thing. Work provided more than a paycheck. For decades, it gave you this almost built-in interaction, right? Even if you didn't love your job, morning greetings, office banter, shared projects, all of that disappears overnight once you retire. And unless you're intentional about replacing it, the default, and I've heard this from clients, is isolation. I had one client tell me, I thought doing nothing would feel amazing. And then he said, but nothing got boring fast. Stepping back, right? Humans crave purpose and belonging, not just free time. And without a plan, retirement can unintentionally isolate you. Days blur, routines fade, even simple questions, right? Like, who am I having lunch with this week? They go unanswered. Well, what's the good news? Retirees who stay connected, again, back to this study, through volunteering, hobbies, their local church, even part-time work, report, yes, I said part-time work, report more joy than those who saw retirement as a, quote, permanent vacation. So you know the importance of good health and strong relationships, but the question is your retirement on track overall? So I want to invite you, click the link in the description. You'll see a free retirement readiness score. It's 20 quick questions in quiz format, and the first 5 actually measure your sense of purpose and vision for a fulfilling, well-rounded retirement. And once you're done with the quiz, I made it myself, you'll see your score instantly, no email required. But connection alone, back to relationships, isn't enough. There's another piece that often catches people off guard, and that's structure, a place where many retirees find themselves struggling. We often think retirement is all about freedom. No more meetings, no more schedule. But what happens when that structure disappears overnight? Well, for decades, your calendar was full. Not always fun, but full. And you woke up with a plan. Well, now you are in charge of 168 empty hours every single week. By the way, I did a video on this book, The New Retire Mentality. If you've not given it a read, please do so. I've had clients comment that it's one of the most helpful reads they've done as they're thinking about a transition to retirement. But back to the timepiece. Some people fill that time quickly, right? The 168 hours. But for many, the absence of structure removes more than just tasks. It removes, and this is critical, your identity. And I've had clients say it sort of snuck up on them. Because without a plan, freedom often turns into drift, right? You don't have to be approaching retirement to know this. Sleeping in, watching TV, skipping the gym, deferring the hobby, and before long, the days blur. And the tricky part is nothing's technically wrong. You're just not fulfilled. Right? Work gives you or gave you more than a paycheck. It gave you an identity, a purpose, and a daily interaction. Without a plan to replace that, boredom sets in fast. Now, everybody knows they should plan financially for retirement, but why do so few people spend time thinking about what their life will actually look like? I'm going to interject here a second. I talk with clients, and one of the first things we think through is, what's your vision for a fulfilling retirement? And there's the odd exception that has done the work to craft and create, aligned with their spouse, a compelling vision and a sense for how they're going to spend their time in a way that will lead to joy and fulfillment. And that's the exception. Most people, it's, well, might travel a little, might do some of this, I don't know. And the financial questions are so pressing. It's almost like the financial, how much can I spend? How are my investments? How do I save time? Those questions almost suffocate the more important question of, what are you actually going to do? Because if you can answer that, now we can organize the finances. Anyways, I'll digress back to the study here. There was a stat from the study that we're talking about that frankly still surprises me, and yet, based on my experience, unfortunately it doesn't. Almost half, get this, half of retirees spend less than a year thinking about their retirement lifestyle before leaving work. Not the finances, the lifestyle. It would be like planning a wedding for years, but never actually thinking about the marriage, right? You think back to your own wedding, bunch of logistics, things you need to put together. Well, hello, the retirement comes and goes. Now you're in the marriage. What's it actually going to look like after you retire? And by the way, it's incredibly hard to design a fulfilling retirement if you can't clearly picture what you're retiring to. Most people treat lifestyle planning as an afterthought, and it matters. They've already left the structure of work behind. And what's the result that we see from this? Well, you see a lot of trial and error. A lot of, like I mentioned, we'll travel for a year, we'll figure it out. And while that can work for a few, most people find themselves needing to course correct without the same margin for error they had time-wise in their 40s or 50s. Let's put a bow on this. What's the actual difference between retirees who are truly happy and those who feel lost? I assert this. It comes down to a simple mindset shift. Most people see retirement as an escape. No more deadlines, no more office politics, no more commuting. And by the way, that's fair, but escaping work is not enough. You need something to move toward. Those, by the way, without a vision, they filled their days reactively. Errands here, Netflix here, trip if the kids are free. And while that sounds relaxing at first, I've seen it eventually lead to people feeling adrift. The happiest retirees could clearly describe what they wanted their days to look like before they left work. So by now it's clear that a joyful retirement is not about hitting a number. Go hit your numbers and, God bless on that journey. But fundamentally, it is much more about designing a life. What separates the 48% who are thriving from the rest? They didn't just hope it would work out. They got specific. They thought about what a good day looks like, and they considered their health, their habits, their relationships, and they acted while they still had energy and options. They didn't try to control every detail. Instead, they painted a clear picture of what they wanted and started living in that direction. You just saw why designing your retirement life matters as much as saving for it, but even with a great plan, what if there's a hidden tax mistake quietly draining your nest egg? So, in this next video, I want to break down a real $1.2 million case study and show you how smart Roth conversions could save you thousands in taxes and add nearly $1 million to your long term net wealth. Talk to you soon.